double pay issue and bring up Robert Cost of the Guam Federation of Teachers. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning.
So, Edward Byrne said, "Thou shalt not get the double pay."
Right.
Yesterday. I mean, it sounds really cold with a British accent.
Yeah, you guys did really good. That was really good impersonation. Actually, though, what he said was that Guam Fire Department, Guam Police Department, agencies where they didn't close would not be entitled to the double pay, right?
Yeah.
For the most part. I could read you it.
Yeah.
As a result.
It's an absurd interpretation. And the reason why I say that is because it even creates a greater inequity. Because if we follow that, our target group is our GMH nurses, our GPD officers, Guam Fire Department, our COVID heroes. And the people who are going to get paid, then under that interpretation, are going to be the payroll clerks for every agency who worked during the emergency period but aren't at GPD, GMH, or GFT, or DOC. The people who worked at Rev and Tax. DOE nurses will get paid, but not GMH nurses. Because some agencies actually did close. Yeah. So, but then you look at it a little closer. Did these agencies close? Is an issue of interpretation, because I can't go down and get a police report because that function is closed.
Right.
Guam Fire Department probably not issuing burn permits because they might be closed. I don't know. We need to look real closely at that. But clearly, I think it's just an attempt to dodge the ball here. There is an inequity out there. I don't think that I'm going to be able to agree with Ed Byrne's interpretation. I appreciate the effort he put in.
Seemed like a lot of effort to kind of find a good reason to not pay you guys the double pay that you deserve. Sure.
But, I was thinking about this, and one good reason not to pay is we don't have money, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough pill to swallow when hundreds of millions are pouring in from the feds, and one authorization for the use is to pay employees who responded to the COVID emergency. That's the reason we pulled the nurses out of GRMC, because they weren't responding to the COVID emergency and they weren't being paid. I think the federal funds are there to pay this, but let's go with this thought that they cannot be paid. Well, the inequity occurs when you have two groups of employees. One group who is not required to go to work and do anything, and they get paid, and another group who's required to go out and work above and beyond, put themselves at risk and put their families at risk, and to be paid in the same base pay manner as that other group. So the group that has the gripe or the complaint or the grievance is the group that was denied the paid leave and had to work for their money. So if they don't have money, how about we give them paid leave? Why don't we take the number of hours they worked during the emergency period and give them annual leave credits equal to that amount, giving them paid leave to adjust for the inequity. And that's, you don't have to use any cash. We just credit them right on their paycheck for the leave for the hours that they work. And later on down the road, the government will pay for that in the form of these employees taking time off from work and being paid in the same manner the other group has already enjoyed the benefit. So, I know Joe San Augustine is looking at this, our senator, and I would put this to him that here's a chance for the legislature to step up and rectify this inequity.
Mm-hmm. This you're talking about that rule that or granted compensatory leave credits, right? Has this been done in the past?
Okay, well, CTO, this requires that employees are paid or have to consent in writing in advance to receiving CTO in lieu of overtime. It also requires the government track CTO in their paycheck so that the employees, everybody knows. Yes, it's been done in the past in an under-the-table fashion, where the supervisor writes it down on a piece of paper and sticks it in his drawer, and then good luck to the employee to try to use it, kind of thing.
What do you recommend to these employees, these frontliners that aren't going to be getting this double pay? What should they be doing right now?
They're pissed off, Robert.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. They're calling me. Sometimes I feel like they're blaming me. No, I think they have, the Gov Guam did the same thing with merit bonuses a while back, where they declared a fiscal emergency and then suspended the payment of merit bonuses. And I think this is going to be very similar to that case. In fact, this is what I took to our attorneys, and they're studying all of this and trying to figure out, where are we going to initiate our complaint, where are we going to file, and who the plaintiffs are. I think they have legal standing. There's an equity here, and it needs to be rectified. I would recommend to them that they sign on with the GFT, make sure their name is included in a lawsuit against the governor of Guam and her directors, over this issue, because it may not be. Remember, this policy originates in the rules and regs. There's no class action. You have to be a named plaintiff or group of employees who are similar. So you're going to have to be named in the lawsuit. So you can join us, and we'll sue, or you can sue on your own, or you can simply do nothing and hope for the best.
What would be your response, though, to, I guess, Adaloop or whoever, who would say, y'all need to stop. You guys are getting 25% differential pay. Quit complaining. You're going to get some money.
Well, they're actually being pretty stingy about 25%. 10%, 15% sound like a more common possible differential. The bus drivers that they utilize, some of those guys make as little as $10 an hour. Our entry-level bus drivers. Right. So they're talking about $1. You're going to work 40 plus hours, and we're going to pay you $40. To me, it's not enough. Not when the employees went into this thing with the expectation that they would be receiving, the administrative leave, their regular pay, and a hazardous differential.
Right, and I'm not sure where the disconnect happened, but I feel like Adaloop kind of heavy-handedly stumbled their way through this decision to not pay the double pay, and now what you have is a whole class of government of Guam frontliners and first responders who are walking around with this $36 million chip on their shoulder.
Right. Well, I would.
I don't blame them,
Keep in mind the superpowers of the governor is not to simply disregard laws and rules. It gives her the ability to suspend. Suspend means to put off until later. Okay, so if she suspended pay, then she can put it off till later, but it's going to come back to her. When the emergency period ends, the suspension will be lifted, and then the pay will be due.
And if it's not paid, then we potentially could see lawsuits that are filed.
Well, to me, in my mind, and again, that's why I have attorneys working on this now. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, when the emergency period is lifted, that's the appropriate time to begin filing either grievances or lawsuits, whatever is going to be the recommended course of action.
Well, it's a good thing that, the Civil Service Commission, according to that budget, will be getting some smart TVs and I think some laptops or something.
Well, yeah, I suppose. How much more work are they going to make for me doing that?
Yeah.
Robert, what did you make of? So we had the governor's acting chief of staff, John Jr. Calvo, on, and then we also had Mr. Byrne on. And I thought it was interesting that they're just throwing everything they can at this double pay. We
can't afford it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ed was like, Mr. Byrne was like, the rule is not to apply. And then John Jr. Calvo was like, it's not sustainable. So it just seems like they're just putting every reason they can out here. What'd you make of that?
Well, again, with the merit bonus pay, they said the rule does not apply, and that they had.
Can you do that again, Robert?
I'm not good at that. No, I don't. I like Ed. I don't want to tease him.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, with the merit bonus pay, they said the rules don't apply. That we were within our authority to suspend it. And, I was working for DOE at the time, and I ended up working nights computing 20 years of merit bonuses for all employees because the government lost that suit. And, I don't remember the amount. Must have been, tons of money. But there's good precedent, and we're in the same situation where we tried to waive a rule or a law during an emergency period that came back to bite us later on.
And it's interesting because I was looking at UOG, and when they passed their resolution, and it included a double pay for, I guess, affected employees or eligible employees, and they cited this Rule 8.406C2 as justification.
Right. Well, that does I think the attempt there was to identify the period. It's not a qualification for receiving the pay.
Mm-hmm.
It's, for what period of time are they going to receive the pay? Well, it's that period of time during the emergency period when the agency is closed and everybody else is on administrative leave.
Yeah.
Because it is that existence of the administrative leave for everyone else that gives the entitlement for those who are working to receive the admin leave plus get paid for working.
Mm-hmm. It just doesn't make sense that you have...
Yeah, I saw your face yesterday when Ed Byrne read you the letter. Well, I'm going to have to see this for myself.
Yeah. In the meantime, my phone is blowing up like, oh, no.
How in anybody's mind do they think that this is okay? These are our heroes. And now we're saying, we tricked you through deceit and trickery. We've denied you your pay. And what? They're happy about it? I don't understand that. And as a senator who's up for re-election, why aren't they pounding down the doors? What are they doing? There's nothing fair here. There's no equity here. And these are all registered voters. So, if I was an elected official, I would be sitting up straight.
Yeah, I know we're going to be talking to Senator Joe St. Augustine. He wants the AG's intervention in this and issue.
I'm wondering though,
Robert, legal opinion.
Are you confident in the AG's ability to provide an independent sounding opinion? Because it kind of seems lately like he's a little too cozy with the administration.
Yeah, the AG has, and then I encourage the AG to take a look at ethical practices for attorneys on Guam. Because he has taken a position that the Attorney General's office is legal counsel for the government of Guam, and therefore the AG has been defending the conduct of the government of Guam. But if you take a look, that really is not his job. His job is to uphold and defend the laws of Guam. If the government is violating the laws, he needs to advise them of that and to take appropriate course of action. And if we end up in court fighting over it, the AG should not go to court and argue for what is not.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Attorney Levin Camacho, or if any of your people are listening, give us a call.
They're only open for an hour a day, though.
Oh, so is that an agency that is closed and they're receiving their... the reason I ask is because I have been contacted by a few AGs who aren't working.
Who aren't working or are?
Who are.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So those who are working, because they have them out at the agencies as well.
I'm just disappointed with the AG in general. I feel like they need to be more proactive. I mean, we shouldn't be talking about this and begging for an opinion. I mean, does he watch the news or what?
Right. Well, I think, there's all different kinds of attorney generals. They have different ideas about how to do their job. We saw Doug Moylan, extremely aggressive and out there reviewing everything that goes on. And then, I think we have, Levin Camacho, who says, I'm your attorney, call me if you need me.
A little more passive, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just, I think, a difference in the approach. But
I think there's just too much closeness between the administration and the Attorney General's office. I almost feel like he's forgotten that he's an independently elected Attorney General and not someone that the governor appointed.
Yeah, well, that's where I disagree too. I do think that he believes that he is the attorney for the governor, and clearly she's
already got one. Yep.
Yeah, one very close to her family, right?
Yeah. Okay, Robert, you know, we haven't tried the wands. We broke out the wands for the stimulus. We broke out the wands for the local aid. We broke out the wands for the transparency. We broke out the wands for the muting of the media. We broke out the wands. Is there anything else you broke out the wands for? But our track record with these wands, Robert, it's pretty good. So here we go. We're going to double wand this. Okay, for all the hard-working government of Guam employees who are being shafted by the administration right now and not getting paid their double pay. That Robert, do you believe that could be covered under the CARES Act, $117 million we got?
Yeah, I saw the provision. I looked at it with my own two eyes, and it states there, you know, those funds are available for personnel responding to the COVID emergency.
Okay, so on that note, here we go. Alakazam! Alakaway! Give the government of Guam first responders their double pay!
Well, I hope you got powers, buddy.
Oh, we got our own superpowers around here, Robert.
My goodness. Hey, you know, I noticed on the hotel, this was absurd, but that somehow by sending people to apparently a second-rate hotel with non-working aircon and moldy rooms, that would somehow make it okay. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. COVID is a respiratory disease, and we're sending potential COVID patients to a hotel with moldy rooms. You know, I spend a lot of time trying to get teachers out of classrooms like that. You know, that just doesn't make sense to me again. I mean, you know, I don't know. You know, moldy rooms lead to respiratory disease.
Right. Yeah, it's just a bad deal all around. Robert, thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
Take care.
There you go. Robert Koss, definitely feeling some type of way, like the kids say, about the double pay. Hey, it's 8:31. We're going to take a little break, and we're coming back with Christine Boletto of the Guam Chamber of Commerce, kind of find out a little bit more about what businesses are gradually reopening on Monday, May 11th, and then from the Republican Party of Guam, former Senator Tony Atta, to talk about the middle class getting shafted by, was that the word they use? Or
I think so.
yeah, they're getting shafted by Lou and Josh. So we'll do that. That's coming up right here on the KUM News Takeover, Guam's favorite. It is Containing COVID. Good morning.
Join us.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360.
KUAM News COVID-19.